think it is time to get going. 11:01. So if I will mute you all in a moment, but does anyone have any questions or requests before we get started? I know many of you are already on mute, but if there's anything you'd like to ask or request.
This is my, yeah, hi, this is my first time working with you. And what do you need us to have?
Yeah, so what I need you to have is a chair and some kind of a firm belt or strap. That could be a yoga strap if you have one, no worries. If you don't, it could be a bathrobe belt, whatever you have handy. Ideally something that doesn't stretch, not a TheraBand. And a little space at the wall if you have it. If you don't have it, it's not a problem. Anyone else have any? And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you would like to keep your video on, I really like to be able to see people, but it's your option.
No, I will keep my video on.
Great, thank you. Anyone else have any questions before we get started? Anything at all? Okay, I am going to mute you and then I'll just talk a little bit about what we're doing today. Okay, so over the last few weeks, I've been introducing different kinds of breathing techniques that are good for anxiety control or relief. Anxiety relief is probably a better way to phrase it. And just for review, we've done, last week we did the buzzing bee breath, which was that humming breath. The week before, we did a brief hold at the end of the exhalation. And today we're going to do our last session on specifically anxiety relieving breathing. And we'll do that at the end of class, but just so you know what's coming and so you can sort of prepare yourself mentally. It's very straightforward. We've done it in class and other sessions. And it's very simply an extended exhalation. So whenever we extend the exhalation, which is what all these breathing techniques do, it is a natural calming mechanism for the body and the central nervous system. It has been proven to slow the heart rate, sometimes take blood pressure down. I think I've mentioned all that. I just wanted to review very briefly that what we're doing is extending our exhalation so that eventually it will be twice as long as the inhalation. And we'll start gradually. You might not get to the point of it being twice as long, that's fine. So for instance, it would be a count of inhaling 1, 2, 3, exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a pretty long exhalation. Might start with 3 to 5 or something, not quite double, but that's where we're headed for the end of class. It is, I hope, is something you will practice outside of class because it can really help with stress and anxiety. And with that, I will invite you to come to your seat, whether that's on the floor or in the chair. So I know we have one new student today, so just to repeat a few very basic things. Always welcome to sit on the floor in a cross-legged position, ideally on a blanket, or you can sit in your chair, as many of you have chosen. And we do a lot of different variations of the poses. If you ever don't want to do anything that I suggest, and think of them as suggestions, not instructions so much, there are always variations. So if you don't want to come down onto the floor, which many people do at the end, we can do things seated in the chair or standing. So be your own teacher in a sense. I am not right there in the room, obviously, with you. Can't see a lot of what's going on. So I need you to really take care of yourselves even more than you do normally in a live classroom. Please sit back in the support of your chair. If you're sitting on the floor, I'm not sure if any of you are, You've got that long spine. Whether you're on the floor or in the chair, shoulders are over hips. But you're accepting the support of the chair. You're finding stillness in the physical body. It might take a few seconds or even minutes to get any last fidgets or squirms out of your system. Take the time to do that. And then from this place of stillness, turning inward to the breath, allow the mind to rest there, to observe, to focus, to notice. And let's notice specifically today what that natural rhythm of the breath is in the here and now. Notice if your inhalation is a little longer, or maybe the exhalation is naturally longer. Maybe your breath is pretty much in balance. Simply notice, try your best not to change anything. Sometimes that can be the greatest challenge, trying not to control. Your mind may be already leaping ahead to what I talked about with longer exhalations. Just stay right here in the present with the breath as it is now. Please, everyone, draw your hands together at your heart center. Gently press the palms towards one another and slide the thumbs just a little bit up to create more length. As always, we'll begin with 3 ohms. Please join me, breathing in. And on the exhalation, Om. Inhaling, exhaling, release your hands to your lap. Float your eyelids open if they're not already, and come forward towards the front of your chair. If you're on the floor, just stay where you are. To begin, we're always linking breath and movement, and that's something we like to keep going through the class. So very simply here, inhaling, lift the arms up towards the sky. Exhaling, release the arms down. We let the breath lead, waiting for the inhalation before we join with movement. And waiting for the exhalation. Hands release to heart. Let's add a little lift of the heels as we lift the hands. You can lift your gaze as well. And heels release, arms release. And taking those heels and the arms up overhead. Hands to the heart center, heels release. This pattern is going to be a little bit different. Lift the heels. Come to a halfway position. Arms come out into a T. Heels are lifted. And we're going to cross the right arm over the left and come into a little hug. Fingertips reach towards shoulder blades, still pressing forward with your insteps, that front part of the foot. And lifting the elbow points a little bit. Releasing heels, releasing elbows. Let's keep the heels down and just lift the elbows, lift the gaze, and release down. Come to neutral. Here's an option for anyone who would like to take the wrap, or this sort of halfway position if the wrap is challenging for you, or stay in the hug and lift and release. Lift. Exhaling, release. Do come back to neutral, unwind, stretch the arms out into that T position. Feel free to take a little break if you'd like to, or stretching, getting the fingertips long as if they could touch the walls on either side of you, and crossing opposite elbow on top. So now that's your left elbow on top, walking fingertips towards shoulder blades. Don't be too aggressive. It's very cold today. We don't want to force anything. And lifting elbow points. Exhaling, release them down. Let's do that again. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's come to the neutral position. Some of you may be opting to take another position for your arms or stay in the hug. Lifting, exhaling, releasing. Lifting, exhaling to release. Coming back to neutral, unwinding and release. Bring the arms down alongside your body. We're going to transition right now to stand, which we do methodically, bringing your feet back towards the chair and then finding your hips crease. It's helpful sometimes to put your thumbs there so you can really feel that crease when you fold forward. Let's do that a few times. Come back to upright. Long spine, fold forward. Come on back up to upright. Try not to lead with your head. We do that in a lot of our movement during the day, so don't do what I just did. Keep the back of the neck long. Come back to upright, and now we'll just take that into forward. Come all the way up to stand. Let's release back down, hips back towards the chair, release back to the chair, torso upright. Fold forward. Here's your inhale. And last time, here's your exhale. And float the arms down alongside the body. Mountain pose. So let's find mountain pose. Standing tall. Feet, hips distance, toes, big toes, even with each other. And you've got that nice, strong foundation. Legs are engaged. But there's a sense of ease in the upper body. Not getting rigid. Balance in the shoulders. With your Zoom screen right in front of you, you can probably tell whether one shoulder is a little more lifted than the other. Think about the same amount of space between both ears and shoulders. Breathe. Is the mind beginning to wonder when this pose is going to end? Draw it back to the here and now. And releasing. We're going to, let's work with our strap. So the first thing we're going to do is take our straps, and you'll need a space about shoulder distance apart. If you have tight shoulders or any shoulder restrictions, you can definitely go wider, or you can go a little narrower if that feels good. We're going to take that strap behind us, and the palms are facing back. So palms back. And we're simply going to stand up nice and tall in mountain pose and lift the arms back behind us, up a little bit, and release them down. Pull the strap apart as if you could, and lift. Exhaling, release. Keep pulling the two sides of the strap apart. There's a lot of engagement in the muscles of the arms here. Release. And one more time. Release. We're going to change the position of the hands. So now the backs of the hands are away from you, not the palms. So just shift that position. It's a subtle change, but you might notice a difference as you pull the strap apart and inhale, lift. Exhale, release. It might be a tiny little lift. It might be a larger lift. And release. As I always say, bigger isn't necessarily better. Just try not to compensate by sticking your ribs out. So we're trying to isolate the movement in the shoulders, pulling the strap apart, lifting. And now bending the knees just a little bit, finding that forward fold. It's a small one, and lifting the strap up behind you. Some of you might feel just fine going a little bit deeper. Pull the strap apart. Spine is long, no matter where you are. You might be here. You might be in a straight leg position with the belt lifting. Breathe wherever you are. And inhale, lift. Exhale, bring the strap back around. We're not done with it yet. So we're going to take that strap this time in the front. And we're going to pull the strap apart again at about shoulder distance. Feel free to go wider if that feels better for you. And just lift the strap up overhead and come into a side tilt. Inhale, come on back up. Still pulling the strap apart. Come on back up and exhale, release the belt down. Your choice. You can either relax a little if you feel you need that moment of relief, or keep the pull on the belt. We'll do it 2 more times. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhale. Side tilt, other way. And release the belt. Feel free to relax or keep that pull apart energy on the strap. Inhaling. Last time, arms straight, side tilt. Other way. And release. Bring the strap down. And now you can put the strap aside and just swing your arms around a little. You might notice after doing those really strong resistance kinds of movements, you get a little bit more range of motion in your arms and shoulders. So let's just do what I'm doing. Swing the arms forward, back out, palms up. Just a few times, feeling that range of motion. And relaxing, releasing. Let's come to face the back of the chair. And we're going to move in between 2 positions. And those 2 positions are chair pose, which is what we worked with when we were coming up to stand. Your hips are back. Your front body is long and your hands can either be at your heart or alongside your ears. I'll give you those options. And the second position is kind of a standing version of table pose. So in table pose, we're usually down on hands and knees, hips over knees. We're doing a standing version here. Hips over knees, over ankles, and you're coming forward with your long spine. It's kind of like a dog, a chair dog. And we'll move between those two poses. So let's do them together if you haven't already. Let's just sit back, find your chair pose, hands at the heart. Thumbs are a little reminder to keep lifting the heart. Gentle curve in the low back. You can probably see it pretty distinctly on me. I'm a big back archer. That's not always a good thing. And then lengthen. Find your standing table. If you can bring your hands down to your chair seat. And we're going to transition. We're going to flow between those two poses. So bending the knees, hands to the heart. Here's an option to bring arms alongside ears. And fold forward, find your standing table. Come back to chair pose, inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling. Feel free to have hands at the heart center if you prefer. And exhaling. And this time, just bend your knees, sit back in chair and flow the arms out to the side, stand all the way up. Exhaling, hands come to the heart. Here we are in standing mountain again. So let's bring the left foot forward, step the right foot back. We're in a lunge position. Hips are towards the back of the chair. So it's a lunge. That back heel is lifted. It's not a warrior foot. Both legs initially are straight. And now bend the forward knee. Find your hips crease again. There's that place. And tilt forward. Long line from your back heel out through your forward fingertips. Now bring that to an upright position. And transition again to that tilt from the hips crease. And coming upright. I'm using one arm. You can use neither or both. But we are keeping that front knee bent. The next time you come to the upright position, arms alongside ears or on a chair, just transition to a warrior foot in the back. The toes and the heel now come down. Let's lengthen the front leg and bend it. Torso is upright. Lengthen the front leg and bend it. One more time, lengthen and bend. Choose your hold for warrior one. Arms in any position that feels right for you in this moment. And lengthen the leg. We're going to come to the other side. So bring your other foot forward. This would be your right foot. Step the other foot back into a lunge foot. Heel is lifted. And we're going to bend the knee. Back heel is still lifted unless you want more security. You can certainly put the heel down. And lifting one arm, actually opposite arm would be good. And find that forward hinge. Knee stays bent, come to upright. Exhale, a little forward tilt, long spine. Coming to upright. And last time. Release the arms, straighten the legs, and bring that back heel down into a warrior foot. So that means that the heel is down, the toes are slightly forward. It's at about, if you imagine the face of a clock, at about 1:30 or 2 o'clock. So straight legs, long arms or arm. And bending the forward knee. Lengthen. Bending. Keep that torso really nicely upright. You might need to bring a little zip into the abdominals. A little tone there. And here's our hold. Sorry, everyone, it's my phone. Keep going with it. I can turn this on. And our final pose is Warrior One. Arms lifted or at heart center. If you want a little more support, hands on the chair. Breathe. Nice, everyone. See that? And release your arms down. Straighten your legs if you haven't already. Come on back to mountain pose. Nice. Standing tall. Facing the chair, again, and I'm going to give you an option here. You can either use the back of the chair. I'll show you what we're doing. We're going to be going from chair dog into plank into what's called up dog. You can do it, especially for taller people, on the back of the chair. Smaller people or anybody who has a lot of flexibility in the legs just might want to do this from the seat. And that would be here to here. And anybody who doesn't want, last option, always options. Anybody who doesn't want to put that kind of pressure on their wrists can be at the wall on their forearms. So your forearm pose might be, here's dog, here's plank, here's the lift. So choose what's right for you. Wall, back of chair, front of chair. Everybody's working a little bit differently. And if you're using your hands rather than your forearms, you're turning your hands out a little bit. Bring yourself down onto either the back behind the chair or the seat, and step yourself back into chair dog. Hips are back, arms are long, spine is long. Breathe, just feel the shape of the pose. Let's all carefully, arms are still a little bit turned out, bring those hips forward to plank. And we're going to go back to dog. So just dog to plank for a few cycles of breath. Inhaling to plank, exhaling to dog. This time, as we come forward to plank, you can stay in plank or you can release your hips towards the chair and lift your heart, lift your gaze. It's a little pose called up dog. And release back. I'll demonstrate it on the back of the chair, which many of you may be doing. Dog, to plank, to up dog. You want to make sure, I should have mentioned this, that chair is very secure on your mat, so there's no chance of slippage. Plank, either remain here or come into a little up dog. Find that arc in your spine. Feel your chest moving forward. And last time, dog pose. Pause, breathe. Feel free to work with your knees bent or your legs lengthened. A few more moments here. And in the stillness of the poses, where is the mind going? Can it continue to focus on the breath? And releasing from your version of chair dog, come on back up to upright. And everyone now, I'd like you to come to the wall. I did mention that you'll need a little space at the wall, not too much. And we're gonna do, I just wanna make sure my phone isn't gonna interrupt us again. Sorry about that. We're going to do a high-armed version of downward facing dog, which will feel a little bit different. So you're standing facing your wall, your arms are high this time. So you're standing maybe 2 feet, 1.5 feet from the wall, and your arms are way up above your shoulders. Plant your palms. And then move your hips back. You might need to move your feet as well. So your hips are reaching towards or away from the wall. And your arms are more or less framing your ears and your breathing. You might feel this very differently than you did in the other version of dog that we just took. More in the upper arms, more in the shoulders. And you lift your 10 toes up off the earth. That's going to drive your weight more back into your heels, which is a good place of alignment for this pose. Keep the toes lifting and spreading. Releasing the toes down just for fun. This is challenging. Can you do 1 toe at a time? Pinky toes, 4th toes, 3rd toes, 2nd toes, big toes. And come all the way back up. Standing upright. Breathe. And we're going to come into a wall version of a pose that we'll do on the floor in a little bit. Sphynx pose. Most of you have done this. If you don't like coming down onto the floor, this is your pose. But let's everyone do it right now. So you're bringing your forearms to your wall, elbows in front of shoulders, and you're a little bit closer to the wall than you were just a moment ago. Pressing your forearms isometrically down to get a little engagement in the muscles of your arms. Breathe, and then release your hips, just like an up dog a moment ago, towards the wall as you lift your heart towards the sky. Little lift of the gaze. Breathe. Continue for a few more moments. Thank you for those of you who've left your videos on. It is very helpful for me to be able to see you. And coming out of the pose, nice, really nice. Come on back, up out of the pose, stand up tall. Let's just take a breath or two in mountain pose at the wall. I think I've probably told many of you who've been in my class in the past, I had a teacher once who would say the wall is your guru. It's a great tool for alignment. So your heels are up against the wall, your buttocks are against the wall, the backs of your shoulders are there. And notice what other parts of your body might be touching. And with the wall here to support us, let's lift our toes again. Lift your toes up off the earth, spread them nice and wide. And can you lay them down one at a time in reverse? I find this really challenging. Big toes, second toes, try not to look, third toes, fourth toes, pinky toes. And release. It's important to keep mobility in our fingers and toes, as well as some of those more major muscle groups that we work. We're going to come into a balance pose. So come to stand next to whatever you've got, whether that's a chair or another piece of furniture you'd like to use. Stand up nice and tall in mountain pose. And we're going to take the outside leg, so this is your right leg, and cross it over the left. Squeeze the thighs together. You can remain here with straight legs, or if it feels comfortable to you, to bend the knees and sit back as if you were going to sit in chair pose. Let's do that with crossed legs. And arm can be in a T, or arms if you have your balance. Let's cross left arm over right. Here we are in the hug we used at the beginning of class. So this is sitting back. Hips are back, not straight down. And feel free to come into the wrap or this kind of halfway position. And some of you may be working with straight legs. Breathe. Let it be a little bit playful. You might lose your balance for a breath or two. That's okay. Unwind, release, uncross. Let's come to the other side of the chair or whatever furniture you're using. Come to stand in mountain pose on the second side. And same thing, crossing the outside leg, your left leg, over the right. You can take a look down. Soles of both feet are resting. Squeeze the thighs together. Either continuing to work with straight legs or bend those knees and sit back like you would in chair pose. One arm can come into the wrap, or maybe both arms. Crossing now, right arm over left, finding your little hug. Breathe. By all means, you can take the wrap or remain in the hug. And one more breath in and out. Unwind. Straighten the legs if you weren't working with straight legs, and release the arms down alongside the body. Come back to mountain pose. Find evenness, equal weight on the two sides of the body, maybe sway back and forth a little bit to find that. And we are going to come on down to our bellies. So for those of you who choose to, this would be the time to transition down to your bellies. For those who don't want to come down to their bellies, you're standing behind your chair. And I'll demonstrate now while everyone else is transitioning. So for those who want to remain standing, it will be one leg back. You'll bend the knee, you'll straighten the leg, and you'll bring it back down. So it's bend, straighten, release. We'll do the same thing on the floor. So that's the basic pattern. You can also lift your arm if you would like to. Okay, I'm going to do it on the floor. Belly's down. I'm going to start everyone with Sphynx Pose. And that's a nice way to warm up for most back bending poses. We just did this at the wall. Feel free to come back to the wall if you don't want to be on your belly. And that's finding length from pubic bone to top of sternum. Breathe. Come on down to rest for just a few breaths, folding one arm on top of the other. Oops, can't see. And resting your forehead. Let your legs relax. The buttocks be soft. And let's come into our other variation with the back bends. So for this one, some of you may be standing. It's really the same sequence for everyone. Rest your forehead if you're on your belly. Lift the entire length of the left leg up off the floor and release it. Same thing on the other side. Lift, exhale, release. Let's do that 2 more times on each side. I'm just lifting my head so you can hear me, but keep your head resting. Lift, release, lift, release. 1 more time on each side. If you're standing, you're just bringing your leg back behind you in a straight line. And now, everyone, we're going to mix it up a little bit. So we're going to bend into the left knee. Bend that left knee. Lift the thigh up off the earth. Straighten the leg and release it down. Other side, bend. Little lift. Lengthen and release. Let's do it 1 more time on each side. Bend. Can you lift the thigh even just 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little more? Lengthen, release. Bend, lift the thigh, lengthen, release. Let the legs relax. Focus on your breathing. We're going to bring the forehead down to the floor. Arms alongside the body. You can keep your palms down on the floor. Bend both knees. Of course, if you're standing up, you're only bending one. Lift lifting both thighs, extending both legs, and now lifting upper body. This is locust pose, upper body lifting, legs lifting, arms can lift as well, or you can keep them grounded. And release. That's a big, big stretch for the back body. Place opposite arm on top. Rest. Let your legs relax. Really focusing on your breath here. What do you notice as you breathe in? Can you feel your body moving? Can you feel your tummy pressing towards the earth? How does your body move as you breathe out? Feel a softening or release. Breathing in and out. We are going to make a transition over onto our sides. So rolling over so your right hip is down. I'm not coming all the way down to the earth, but I'll give you a general sense of what this is going to look like. You're stacking your feet on top of each other, your knees are bent, and you're releasing down onto your side. Actually, I will come down. So your palms are meeting, your arms are long, and it might feel good to have a blanket under your head so it's not drooping like mine is. So this is your position. You're going to lift one arm up, just watch first, and back, gazing towards the sky, and bring that arm back so the palms meet. We'll do that a few times, lifting and releasing. I'm going to come back to my chair and give chair people an option. So floor people, settle yourself in, find your position with your, doesn't matter, one hip down. We'll switch to the other side in a moment. If you're in the chair, we'll do something kind of similar. Also feels very nice. Feet are a little bit wider than a standard mountain distance. And you're going to sway those knees over to the right. Arms are out in a T position and bring them together. So people on the floor, let's all start together with this sequence. Arms long, palms facing each other. Everyone lifting that arm, bringing it over to the other side into a T, and closing it up. Lifting, if you're in the chair, you can sway your knees as well. And exhaling to close it up. Inhaling. If you've been in my class live, I think I used to call this clamshell. It always reminded me of the opening and closing of a clamshell. Everyone, especially people on the floor, the next time you come into that open position, both arms in a T, knees to one side, pause. If you're in the chair, just do what my body is doing, or relax your arms. Close up the shape, everyone, palm to palm, starting where you began on your side body. Now shift yourself over to come to the other side. If you're on the floor, if you're on the chair, here you are, same position. Everyone, straight arms, palm to palm. And let's begin that flow. Inhaling, Sweep the arm open. Exhaling. Arms together. Inhaling, open. Exhaling. You can continue the flow, or it might feel nice to be in the more open position for a few breaths. If you're on the floor, that would mean both arms on the floor. You can lower them a little so they actually reach the floor and they're not suspended in the air. Come on out of your pose, people on the floor. You're coming back to your side body. People in the chair, just coming back to center, sitting up tall. And we're going to close the physical or asana portion of the class with Apanasana. It's a Sanskrit term, many of you know it. So if you're on the floor, your feet are on the floor, inhale, lift them up off the floor. Everyone, place your hands on your knees. On the floor, you're bending your elbows and you're drawing your thighs closer to your chest. In the chair, you're just finding this nice, relaxing forward fold. Everyone keeping the hands on the knees. It's a small movement, feels pretty nice for the low back. And this last time that you draw your thighs towards your chest or your chest towards your thighs, you can draw in for a moment, thighs closer to chest. If you're in the chair, you can even let your head release. And everyone, please settle yourself into your pose for relaxation. That could be on the floor. Most of you know what that position would be. Extending the legs long, sometimes with a little rolled up blanket underneath the knees can feel nice. If you're in the chair, bringing your chair closer to a wall can be helpful, so that you can tilt back and let your head be supported. It's not the same as meditation when we sit pretty much upright, but getting that support from the head, for the head, really allows the body to relax in this final pose, which is Savasana. You can place your hands on your belly or on your side ribs. We've been working with that for many sessions, whichever you prefer. And from this position, turning your attention inward to the rhythm of your own breath, as we did at the beginning. Noticing your pattern of breathing. Is your inhale longer, or is your exhalation longer? Maybe those two parts of the breath are pretty naturally in balance. No right or wrong. Everyone's is different. We're just going to begin to add a little bit of guidance to the breath by extending the exhalation by a beat or two. I'll suggest a count, and then you can work with your own. Inhaling 2, 3. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhaling 2, 3. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a suggestion. If you'd like to shorten either part of it, feel free. Maybe you feel ready to go to a 1-to-2 ratio, 3-to-6. Just play with the rhythm. What's important is extending the exhalation so it's longer than the inhalation on your own. By all means, if this starts to feel at all like a strain or you're gasping for the next inhalation, take a break, come back to your natural rhythm. Take one more round of controlled guided breath, extending the exhalation. And then allow the body to completely relax. The breath is now at its own natural rhythm. No more need to guide or control it. And your mind, importantly, continues to stay focused and attentive to the breath. Please allow your breathing now to grow a little bit deeper. Of course, if anyone is ever feeling like they'd like a longer Shavasana, feel free to remain here while I just finish for people who are going to close now. Bring a little movement into fingers, toes, ankles, and wrists. People on the floor, bending your knees, rolling to your side. People in the chair, coming away from your chair back. Everyone sitting up tall in your seated mountain, in the chair or on the floor. Drawing your hands again to your heart center, pressing palms firmly together, but without force, and sliding the thumbs lifting the sternum. Let's close with one Om together. Please breathe in. Om. Inhaling, filling with the peace and calm of yoga. Exhaling, namaste. Thank you, everyone. Be well. I hope that some of those anxiety relieving breathing techniques will serve you well. Let me know if you have any questions. You would need to unmute yourself.
Thank you so much. That was